Hi, I'm Phil Anderson from Arizona Rock and Mineral Company. We've been planning on doing this video for a long time. Found out just going to have to break it down to different segments of the layout. We're going to start the first one with our hump yard. The reason I went with a hump yard is I just got to be different. I've had those flat yards where you got to switch cars around and it just takes forever. So I thought a hump yard would have a little excitement to it. Like most people, we have to start off with a yard anyway. You can get those trains out of those boxes and get them down on some tracks. Hook up some engines with your throttles and move them around. Pretty soon you got to get it around the layout room a little bit. But it gets real boring. So anyway, we thought we'd do this hump yard, and I'm amazed at how well this thing works. And it's one of my favorite places on the layout. I'll come back here and switch cars, see how they coast down into the sorting tracks, and it gives you an opportunity to fine-tune your cars, get them to roll the best. And after all that work, you know what? I got trains that go around the layout real nice now. We'll get into all these little details of what it takes to get your trains to work, and then try them out and see how they coast down into the sorting tracks. We'll start off by running a couple trains. Well, I have a few trains that don't get processed in this hump yard, like this trailer train. Maybe we ought to move them a little bit, huh? It's one of those Athearn SD9s. Some guys call them Cadillacs. Don't look like a Cadillac to me, but that's the nickname they give them. I like to have a few unit trains, like this trailer train. This is what we call a westbound. Of course, no westbounds get humped anyway. I had to get a few more cars to make up this train, because I made a structure from bridges and buildings again. Here's a caboose that has lights. I put working lights in a few of my cabooses. Got one of those battery packs from Radio Shack with the AAA batteries, and use LEDs in the back for the marker lights. There's also a light that comes on inside. But it's kind of nice to see a train that has lights on. You know it's in the schedule and it's being used. When the train finishes its runs, you gotta turn the switch off. I had this wall here about 27 feet long. That's a good place to start building a model railroad. Like I said, we did the yard first. Started with the 5 tracks, had laid everything, and decided to make a hump at the far end. So go take a look over there. I tried using ready-made turnouts and nothing would line up right, so I went ahead and hand-laid all these turnouts and switches. That way I could get everything to flow nice and smooth. I believe they're about number 6 or 7. I tried to stretch it out as long as possible. Then we use a little flex track in here to get up to the hump. And this raises about maybe 3 inches from the yard tracks below. I raised it up like an extra 1/4 inch or so because I had trouble with those cars trying to get down all the way to the far end of the yard. I'm just about to get ready to use these old click-clack turnout machines. There's about 3 different brands of them. They're all about the same. And just before I started that, I met Bruce Stahl from Scale Shops. Bruce makes these motor-driven slow motion turnout machines, and along with that he has dwarf signals that work with it. So I went ahead and implemented the whole thing, Bruce's turnout motors and the dwarf signals, so I could light up the routes. It shows which way the trains are going down the tracks. Kind of nice at night. Now Bruce sells these turnout motors so you can get them in kits and save about half the price. And I fell in love with them because they do a nice job. Well, what's nice is that they do a twofold job. Actually, threefold. If you've ever had trains stall out on your turnouts on the Frog, especially when hand-laid turnouts, well, there's an extra set of contacts here that for powering the Frog. Just run one wire to the Frog and wire from either side of the contacts over to the stock rails. Now you're going to have a live Frog. The other feature is you can wire up your door signals so that they change color when the switch moves. And of course, it's a fairly good slow action machine because you have a motor that drives a screw and they don't snap real fast. And of course, you make your own linkage here because they mount on underneath the layout upside down like this, and you have your turnout linkage that comes up through the top and attaches to your throw bar on the switches. I like to use music wire for throwing that turnout points. It's a little stiffer to bend, but I've had brass wire break, and I don't like it to break. You can see how it comes up from underneath the layout and bends over with a little part bend over to catch a hole in the throw bar. Watch one of those babies work. You can hear it. Also, the door signal changes color when you do that. So, it looks very interesting at night. Sometimes we just turn the lights off and try to run trains with a flashlight. I couldn't turn all the lights off here because you wouldn't even see the track. That's how dim it gets. So when I throw a switch, it changes color. From green to yellow, yellow to green. Now I put a center off switch in here in case something goes wrong with the turnout machine. See that light go off completely? If I move it all the way, then it goes to yellow. Boy, it's terrible when you have a motor blow a coupling or something. It sits there screaming its brains out. That way I can cut it off. But I got them all the way up the line, all the way through the yard ladder. Oh, the yard started as a stub-in track, so it went all the way to the wall. Now, if you want to move trains freely from east to west, in and out of the yard, I went ahead and started making a ladder on this end. It's very useful. Sometimes you got to use a switch to run around and get cars, maybe go up and get the caboose, and just do work from that end. So we have a separate throttle that will run this end of the yard. The status right now is we've got a couple trains here. There's one that just pulled in on the passing track. He's going to be the first one to start humping some cars. We're running a little bit modern engine there. One of those FP45s. On the mainline track, we've got a GP35 with a reefer cars. He pulled in a little bit later. And he's got some time to spend here because you got to get those cars iced up. I made this icing. Well, this is a scratch-built ice plant. The one I had before was too wide, wouldn't fit there. So I went ahead and scratch-built this guy, and it looks pretty good. I made the platform long enough so you could ice up 3 cars at a time. And you can move the cars ahead every few minutes, get all the cars iced up, and it's ready to roll on its way. We'll start off the action here by bringing up that SD45. It's got mixed freight. We're going to hump all those cars into 3 tracks. We're going to make up trains that are eastbound. We've got a train that's going to Denver, one to Kansas City, Chicago, one going to Texas. We'll just pretend this is like a mini Barstow yard in California. We'll start them up by getting the creep up the hill here. And of course, you got to give them a little bit of sound. It's going to take a little power. Got quite a few cars. single track main line, so we can't tie it up real long. The only cars we switch in this yard are eastbound cars. All westbound trains are through freights. We're going to stop them about right here by the yard tower. We got a problem. We've got a caboose we got to get off. We've got a couple of yard goats down there in the far end of the yard. We'll put one of them to work to come up there and retrieve that caboose. It's an old Athearn unit. What kind of a horn does he have? Ease him up to that caboose. There, I smacked him a little bit. Now, a little secret here to this. See how I let go? Once in a while I have some hands-on operation. There's an uncoupling magnet there. Well, let's get this caboose out of the way. We're going to use it for another train going eastbound, so we'll take them with our yard switcher down there to the far end of the track. Yeah, a little bit of a rough ride there. You know, it didn't stall. I told you, those frogs are powered with those scale shop switch motors. Okay, let's go back and take a look at what we got here at the top of the hump. There's a yard tower that I made, scratch built from Bridges and Buildings. You're going to hear me talk about that magazine a lot. Something from Holiday, Kansas. So I just kind of eyeballed a picture of the thing and built it. Here's the magnet. Now, I got a little teeter-totter lever here. I can lower that magnet so there's not any false uncoupling of cars. Now when I want to use it to hump cars, I go ahead and raise it up tight against the ties. Put the little lever over there to hold it in position. Now you know my secret. Put the yard tower back there and it's hidden. Okay, our crew is ready to start releasing some cars. Just one backup signal so everybody knows what's going on. Now I'm going to slowly move this train backwards. As soon as I turn the toggle switch on, because I'm still running DC.